Hey everyone! Today we're talking about something huge that happened in the movie world. It's the story of how Disney's live-action Snow White went from one of the most talked about films to one of the biggest flops in recent memory. This story has it all: famous actors, shocking interviews, angry fans, and even a meltdown on live TV. So grab a snack and let's get into how it all went so wrong. It started with a big plan. Disney was super excited about their new version of Snow White. The original movie came out way back in 1937 and is one of the most famous Disney classics ever made. The plan was to take that magical story, add modern updates, and turn it into a big hit. They hired Rachel Zegler, a rising star, to play Snow White. She had a strong voice, was very confident, and seemed perfect for the role. Gal Gadot, who played Wonder Woman, was also brought in to play the evil queen. With stars like that, how could anything go wrong? Well, a lot did. As more people learned about the new movie, some fans got worried. They started to hear that the story was going to be very different from the one they knew and loved. Important parts were being changed or removed. For example, Snow White wasn't going to be saved by the prince. Instead, she was going to become a powerful leader on her own. Now, some people were fine with that. They liked the idea of a modern Snow White, but others felt like Disney was changing too much. They felt like the heart of the story was being lost. And just when things were getting shaky, Rachel Zegler started doing interviews. Rachel's interviews made things worse. Rachel was excited about the movie and she wanted to share her opinions, but some of her comments didn't sit well with fans. She said things like it's no longer 1937 and that Snow White wouldn't be dreaming about true love anymore. To her, it meant strength and independence. But to many fans, it sounded like she was insulting the original movie. No, social media lit up with people arguing, making jokes, and saying they weren't going to watch the movie at all. Even fans who liked the idea of a modern Snow White were tired of the drama. People stopped caring about the movie's message. It had become all about the chaos. For years, Disney had been really good at making hit movies. They'd remake their old animated films into live-action versions, and most of them made tons of money. The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, they all brought in huge crowds. So Disney thought they could do the same thing with Snow White. Just update the story a little, cast a rising star, and boom, another hit. But this time, that strategy didn't work. People didn't just want a new version of a classic. They wanted it to still feel like the original. They wanted it to feel special. Instead, it felt like Disney was just trying to cash in on nostalgia. Like they thought slapping a famous title on any movie would guarantee success. But fans showed them that wasn't true. One of the craziest things about this whole meltdown was how it divided Disney's biggest supporters. Usually fans of Disney defend the company no matter what. But this time, a lot of them said, enough is enough. Some fans said the changes were disrespectful to the original. Others said Rachel Zegler's attitude didn't match the Disney spirit. Some felt that everything had become too political and not magical anymore. Of course, there were still fans who supported Rachel. They said she was just being honest and standing up for her beliefs. But even they were frustrated by how Disney handled everything. It felt like nobody was on the same page. Not the fans, not the actors, and not the studio. So what does all this mean for the future? Well, people think Disney is going to make some big changes. They might stop giving actors so much freedom to say whatever they want during interviews. They might go back to telling more traditional stories without so many bold changes. Or they might get better at understanding what fans actually want to see. Joe Rogan even joked that future actors might have to read from a script anytime they talk about their movies. It sounds silly, but after this meltdown, Disney might really consider it. Rachel Zegler's career might also take a hit. Some people are calling her box office poison, which is harsh, but it shows how bad the fallout was. Future movie. Studios might be more careful before casting her in major roles. And for Snow White itself? Well, this version is likely going to be remembered for all the wrong reasons. Even now, months later, people are still making memes and jokes about the meltdown. There are tweets about empty theaters, clips of the awkward interviews, and videos titled "The Day Snow White Died." The internet doesn't forget, and this moment has become part of movie history, not because of the film, but because of what happened around it. At the end of the day, there's a lesson here for Disney, for actors, and even for fans. Movies are more than just entertainment. They're stories people care about, sometimes for their whole lives. When a studio changes something special, they need to be careful. People notice, people react, and people walk away when they feel disrespected. The Meltdown wasn't just a bad interview or a flop at the box office. It was a sign that the audience is changing. They want respect for the stories they love, and they want the people behind those stories to understand that. Now, let's ask a big question. Could anything have saved this movie? Some people say yes. If Disney had done better with their marketing and stayed closer to the heart of the original story, things might have gone differently. They could have still updated parts of the movie without upsetting so many fans. If Rachel Zegler had shown a little more love for the classic version, people might have accepted the changes more easily. Fans weren't asking for a copy of the 1937 film. They just wanted to feel like the people making it respected what came before. Even the casting wasn't the main issue for most people. It was the attitude. It was the way the story was talked about in interviews. If Disney had listened more and talked less, maybe this meltdown would have been just a small bump, not a total disaster. After a meltdown this big, Hollywood pays attention. Studios are probably already holding meetings about what went wrong. They're looking at every part of Snow White, the marketing, the interviews, the fan reactions, and thinking, how do we keep this from happening to us? Actors may start being trained on how to answer interview questions better. They might be told not to go off topic, especially on live TV. Public relations teams might be given more control over how movies are promoted. Even scripts for remakes might change. Writers and directors will likely be asked to keep future adaptations closer to the originals, at least enough to please longtime fans. The meltdown didn't just affect Snow White, it's changing how the whole industry looks at reboots, remakes, and fan expectations. When enough people speak up, it gets noticed. Disney thought they could rely on their brand name alone to sell this movie, but fans showed them that wasn't enough. Fans want to feel heard. They want to feel like the people making movies care about the same things they do. And when that doesn't happen, they walk away. They talk about it online. They tell their friends. And soon, a movie that was supposed to be a hit becomes a headline for all the wrong reasons. Fans don't control everything, but their voices matter more than ever. Social media gives everyone a megaphone. And if studios ignore that, they do it at their own risk. All of this puts Rachel Zegler in a tough spot. She's a young actress with talent, and this could have been a great moment in her career. But the way things played out, she became the center of the storm. Still, she has a chance to recover. If she takes time to learn from this, to show some humility, and to connect with fans in a more genuine way, people might give her another shot. As for Disney, they're going to be fine in the long run. They're one of the biggest studios in the world. But this is a wake-up call. They can't just keep remaking old stories without thinking about how people will respond. They need to find the balance between something new and something familiar. The magic of Disney comes from telling stories that last forever. That doesn't mean those stories can't change. It just means they need to change with care. So, what can we learn from the Snow White meltdown? 1. Being famous doesn't mean people will always agree with you. 2. Even big companies like Disney can fail when they forget who their audience is. And 3. The stories we tell and how we tell them still matter a lot. This wasn't just about one movie. It was about how people want to feel when they watch a movie. They want to feel seen, respected, and entertained, not preached to or ignored. Maybe next time studios will listen before they speak. Thanks for sticking with this story. If you found it interesting, to hit that like button, subscribe, and let us know in the comments, what do you think went wrong with Snow White, and what should Disney do next? Until next time, stay curious and keep asking questions.